Hi, my name is Alvaro. Welcome to ABC Guitar Workshop and welcome to part 4 of my project for the Great Guitar Build of 2021. We are almost at the end of June and a lot of cool guitars are being built right now. In case you don't know, the invitational competition has come to an end and the winner has been announced. On the other hand, the scratch build and the kit build competitions with over 400 participants are coming to an end in 5 days, so try to check as many projects as you can because voting starts next week. If you haven't watched parts 1, 2 and 3 of my project, I suggest that you do it and you can find the links in the description below. In this video, I am going to finish the work on the body, the neck and the fretboard, but I am also going to reveal the electronics so you can finally understand the main reason why my project is called the Dead Molder 2. Before we begin, please consider subscribing to my channel, leave a comment if you have any questions or suggestions, and please click the like button to support the channel. Now we are running out of time, so let's begin. Alright, let's begin with the fretboard. Right now it's flat, but the maple binding as well as the 3D printed inlay filled with epoxy are a little bit too high. So I'm gonna use this radius block with a radius of 12 inches to level everything. I started with 80 grit sandpaper, then moved to 120 and then to 240 to have smooth finishing and avoid damaging the inlay. Once the fretboard had a curved and smooth surface, I could move on to shape the back of the neck using my Shinto rasp. Well, I couldn't do everything with the Shinto rasp only. I had to use chisels, sandpaper, and another rasp with a curved profile, but the Shinto removes material so quickly that everything becomes much easier. I'm not following any templates for the neck profile, I'm just guided by the feeling in my hands. And once I got a convincing thin and smooth profile, I could finish it with sandpaper and prepare the neck for lacquering. I also have to sand the body to prepare it for lacquering. Now I cannot spray the finishing in the basement because I need ventilation, so I set up a tent in my backyard and that's gonna be my spray booth from now on. I'm gonna use spray cans with a trigger to make it easier. I learned this trick from Brad and Go. Thanks, Brad. I'm always amazed by how lacquer or oil or any kind of finishing makes wood colors come to life. The walnut looks like chocolate now. I used masking tape to protect the fretboard, the nut and the truss rod from lacquer. After I finished the first coat on the body and the neck, I decided to continue lacquering at midnight. The fumes are too strong and I don't want to bother my neighbors. After working 3 nights in a row, 6 coats of lacquer and a lot of sanding, I felt like the finishing was about to come to an end. Until it started raining. It rained non-stop for almost 3 days, and it became a setback to my schedule. I got tired of waiting, so I changed my strategy. I decided to use a different finishing product that is compatible with the previous one and that I can also apply to the fretboard. Oops, I stepped on a cable. Let's turn the light back on. As I was saying, I'm gonna change my finishing product. I will use this wipe on poly, another recommendation from Brad Angove. Thanks again, Brad. It seems that the combination of the previous lacquer and this wipe on poly was a really good idea. It looks so much better and it feels so smooth. I hope you can see it on the screen. The walnut is gaining so much color. I finally applied the poly on the fretboard and it looks great. It's shining. I would even say that it's glowing. After 5 or 6 coats of poly, I'm done with the finishing. And now, in order to finish the body, I want to cover the cavities with a shielding paint. The purpose of this paint is to improve electric conductivity and remove possible noise. The last thing I want to do to finish the body is to brand it with my custom iron, and this is the kind of situations where you only have one shot.
Do it.
That worked pretty well. I'm gonna do the same to the neck. Moving on to the neck, it needs a nut, so I'm gonna carve it from a block of bone. This is the kind of material that you would typically see on the nuts of acoustic guitars. It's supposed to hold sustain better than plastic. And finally, it's time to install the frets. Due to the binding on the fretboard, the frets need a special treatment. First, I have to cut them to length, and then I have to file them and give them rounded edges. This took almost a full day of work and some wounds in my hands. I was initially planning to press the frets, but the wood seems to be too hard, so in the end I had to hammer them in. After some trial and error, I found the best way to install them, so the frets at the heel side feel better than the frets at the nut side. Another lesson learned. But I'm finally done installing them, and you can see that I don't have to trim the ends because I did that in advance. So I'm finally done with the fretboard, and I guess you already noticed the inlay glows in the dark. That's because I added a glow-in-the-dark powder to the epoxy mix in my previous video. I wasn't sure if I wanted the leaves to be white or green, so I went with both, white in the light and green in the dark. We're almost at the end of the video, so it's time to reveal the electronics. But first, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. In part 1 of this project, I showed this scratch plate that I made to hold a humbucker and a P90 pickup, but actually this was plan B. And luckily I didn't have to use it because I went on with plan A. As you can see, this other scratch plate is also for a P90 and a humbucker, but it has some differences. mainly that in the lower part it can hold two switches and that it has cutouts for two extra pickups. Each of these smaller single coil pickups is supposed to work with 3 strings only, one of them with the lower strings and one of them with the higher strings. So this is going to be a stereo guitar with two different electric circuits. The first circuit on the side of the neck has the P90, the small single coil, and a three-way switch to choose between them, a master volume, master tone, and its own output. The other circuit on the side of the bridge has the humbucker, a small single coil, a three-way switch to choose between them, a master volume, a master tone, a kill switch, and its own output. Now let's load the scratch plate. I have seen other stereo instruments before, but I have never seen one that allows you to take half of the strings in one channel and the other half of the strings in another channel, so I am very excited to try it. And of course, if you want to play it as a normal guitar, you can just use the P90 and the humbucker and not worry about the stereo. And there it is. Now I can assemble the whole guitar. Almost there, time for the strings. And there it is, the first look at the Dead Molder 2. What do you think about it? Leave a comment.